You get your toy. Pew. You're so cute. You're so cute. Hey, Chloe. Hello, you guys. Welcome back. Chloe says welcome back too. Welcome back to my channel. I'm actually so excited for this video. It was on my heart last week to film this video for you guys, and so I'm really so excited about it. It's just gonna be a little unedited girl chat video where I just talk about some girly topics. You know, guys can listen to this too. It's open for everyone. I have such a heart for being the person that I needed when I was struggling, and just when I was growing up, going through those transitional years, you know, the fun stuff. I asked you guys last week in my Instagram to ask me some questions about some girly topics, so I'm gonna be answering those today. So go grab a drink, get a snack. Let's jump right on into the video. That was me jumping into the video. First question is, have you ever been on the pill? If so, how was your experience? And if not, would you ever consider? This topic is something just lights me up a little bit. It gets me going, you know. My biggest frustration around the pill is the fact that we as women are not educated on what it actually does to our bodies. And I want to start out by saying I have absolutely no judgment towards anyone who is on the pill, and I want you to do whatever makes you feel most empowered, whatever makes you feel most at peace. Like, I want you to make that decision for yourself, but I think like we should be educated on what it's doing so we can make the best decision for ourselves. All of that to say, I've never been on the pill personally. I actually, even before I learned about what the pill does and the, you know, hormonal side of things, which I'll get into in a minute, personal family history, haven't had a desire to go on the pill. My mom almost had a stroke on the pill in her early 20s or mid 20s. And so, you know, since I've known that, it just hasn't been an option in my mind to go on the pill, because I just don't want to have to worry about scary side effects like that. So I personally have never considered it. And then since I've dived really deep into hormone health, Wilbur says I, and really learned about what the pill actually does, I've just gotten even more confident in my decision to not be on the pill. So basically what the pill does, just a quick little sum, is it does shut off your natural hormones, and it shuts off your ovulation. So you're not having a real period when you're on the pill. It is a withdrawal bleed. It can really throw your body and your hormones out of balance. And as someone who has gone on such a rocky roller coaster when it comes to healing my hormones, I just don't want to throw them off even further by adding the pill in. It frustrates me so bad that doctors just kind of blindly throw it out and don't tell you what it's actually doing to your body. Like, my OBGYN, she's great, but every time I go in there, I've been seeing her since I was 17, and that's when I lost my period. And every single time she has recommended the pill to me. And still to this day, even this last time when I went back in January, and this was just so frustrating for me. The fact that, you know, I was just talking to her about how my cycles have been really short, and, you know, dealing with hormonal acne, but I'm gonna start working with a functional medicine doctor to just heal it naturally. And she was like, oh yeah, you know, usually when your cycles are that short, it means you're not ovulating. And I was like, yeah, you know, that's what I've kind of realized as well. And she was like, do you want to go on the pill? And I was like, I'm not ovulating. The pill stops you from ovulating. How would that help this situation? I'm confused. Like, do you even know what the pill does? Like, that's what frustrates me so bad about it, is just the fact that they don't tell you what it does, and then they just blindly prescribe it like it's gonna fix all of these problems. That's what frustrates me. So anyways, I'm off on a tangent. But no, I've never taken the pill. No, I won't consider taking the pill. But I believe you should do whatever makes you feel most at peace. Just please educate yourself on what it actually does to your body. Talk to your doctor about what it actually does to your body. Make sure you ask questions. There are so many other ways to actually prevent getting pregnant, so I definitely recommend that you look into that. Tracking your cycle syncing, fertility awareness method. There are so many natural ways to go around getting pregnant if that's something that you are needing that don't involve putting the hormones in your body. I hope that was helpful. Next question is how to accept your body's changes. I think one of the most powerful ways as women that we can accept our body's changes, because as women, our bodies will change, and as women, we are supposed to have fat on our body, and our hormones thrive when we have fat on our bodies. I think it's really empowering as a woman to, and it really helps you accept your body, to really educate yourself on everything that your body goes through as a woman on a cycle. It's just so cool, and it gives you just so much more of an appreciation for your body when you really dive into the different phases of the female cycle and you really learn what your body goes through on each phase of the cycle every 28 to 36 days. Like, it is insane what our bodies do, and it is so freaking cool. So I feel like that is just a really good way to appreciate your body changing as you are a woman, because it is going to change. That is inevitable. We are constantly going to be changing. Your 24-year-old self shouldn't look like your 17-year-old self, and your 17-year-old self shouldn't look like your 14-year-old self. Your 30-year-old self shouldn't look like your 25-year-old self. You know, we are constantly changing as women, and the best thing you can do is find gratitude for all that your body does for you. So I'm going back to body gratitude. Always comes back to that in my videos, but it's just so powerful to really find gratitude and appreciation for all that your body does for you, and especially as a woman, our bodies are absolutely incredible, and it's so empowering and just reassuring to educate yourself on everything that our bodies do. I have a book recommendation if you're wanting to learn more about just the cycles that our bodies go through as women. It's called In the Flow by Alissa Vitti. Incredible, highly recommend. She actually was the creator of the cycle syncing method, which is just this incredible method to live in sync with your cycle. It's really beautiful. So I highly recommend you check that book out if you are just interested in learning more about women's bodies and everything we go through, because it's incredible. Next question. How to know whether a guy has the right intentions towards you. Okay, so another topic that just lights me up. Dating. Even though I don't have much experience, I have really taken it upon myself to use this time of singleness to educate myself on dating and what it should look like and what a healthy dating life should look like, because our society has that very messed up. So how to know whether a guy has the right intentions with you? I highly encourage you to date. I feel like you will know if a guy is pursuing you versus if he's pursuing your body. And I feel like the best way to figure that out, if you don't really know, is to go old-fashioned with it and just go out on dates. Like, just date a guy, just talk to him, have the conversations, have the deep conversations, build an emotional connection with a guy before you bring physicality into it. I think that is so important, and it's something that a lot of relationships kind of skip through these days, and no judgment towards that. Like, it is part of our flesh to desire that, but when we skip over the emotional bond, that's when we get really confused and we don't know if people have right intentions towards us, if they are just after our flesh and not our souls. And so I feel like if you just make your intentions clear that, hey, I just want to keep physicality off of the table for a little bit and I just want to get to know you as a person, if they are willing to do that and if they are still pursuing you after that, that is a great sign. I feel like you're just gonna know if you make your intentions clear, and don't be afraid to communicate. There's so much fear around communicating in relationships, but you really can't fear that. It's a healthy part of a relationship, so don't be afraid to communicate what you're seeking in a relationship and make sure you guys are on the same page. I feel like for me, I feel like it's something that is really apparent, and if you just make clear boundaries and you make the guy pursue you and you make the guy take you out on dates and treat you correctly and don't give him that physical flesh right away, then you will know if he is in it for your heart and for the right intentions. You are worthy of finding a guy who loves you for you and not just for your body. What are some great period recovery foods and habits? So I have a video where I go way into depth on getting your period back. I will link that below, but I also really want to do an updated one because this one is over a year old, which is fine. It still has good information in it, which is why I'm still gonna link it below, but I just feel like I could do a better job of it now. Great period recovery foods, I would say just making sure you're eating enough. Number one priority, eating every 2 to 4 hours. Eating your first meal within the first hour of waking up is incredibly important, and then not being obsessive with it, but making sure you have a source of protein, carbs, and fats with each of your meals, that, you know, the majority of your meals. I'm not saying every single meal has to be perfect, so don't take it that way, but with most of your meals, just make sure you're getting in enough nourishment and protein, carbs, and fats so you're satisfied, your body's getting all the nutrients that it needs, etc., etc. But overall, when it comes to getting your period back, there's no magic pill. It's just gonna take time, patience, and really just making sure you're eating enough. That is the biggest thing here, making sure you're eating enough, and be patient with your body because it takes time too. Someone asked, did you get your period back as soon as you started to eat normally? Can you talk about that? I did not get my period back as soon as I started to eat normally, and usually that's not the case. I feel like it's so individualized, you know, there's just so much to it, but I feel like for most people, it's not an instant thing. And I think also, you know, how long you lost your period plays a role in how quickly you get it back as well. It took me probably about 8 months to a year, if I remember correctly, to get my period back, when I was really implementing like eating enough and managing my stress and exercising less. And it took about 8 months to a year for me to get mine back. But remember that everyone's bodies are so different. As long as you are just doing the right things and taking a holistic approach, again, check out my video that I have linked below on how I got my period back. I go so much more into depth on this topic, and I will be creating a new one, but it takes time and it's so different for everyone. So you just have to be patient with your body. And if you're taking a holistic approach to getting your period back and you're really implementing those things into your daily life, then you will get your period back. It takes a lot of patience. It's just a process. It really is. Just be kind to yourself and trust the process. Someone said, is it true that while recovering weight, thoughts about food/body slowly come less frequently? Sorry for my English. Your English is beautiful. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. It was perfect. Yes, this is very true. And this is one of those things that when you're in the midst of it, you're like, there is just no way this is gonna, like, how are these thoughts gonna just disappear? Like, I don't believe it. You know, it's one of those things that is so hard to believe when you're thinking about food 24/7. But once your body finds balance and once your body begins to feel safe with you again, you will not be thinking about food 24/7. It will take a proper perspective in your life, and it is one of the most freeing, beautiful things. So yes, this is true, but it's not just about the number on the scale. I think a lot of us think right when we hit a healthy BMI, things are just magically gonna be beautiful, sunshine, rainbows. But the truth of the matter is that BMI is it's not a reliable indication of your health, and everyone's bodies have a different healthy range. So it's less about BMI and more about finding your body's healthy range. But that being said, once your body is in its healthy range, you do tend to find more balance, but it overall is just about finding balance with your body and finding a trusting, compassionate relationship with your body. Once your body learns to trust you, that's when these thoughts will really start to fade away. So that again takes time. It's not just gonna be hitting a number on the scale. It's gonna be a time where your body trusts you, has the nourishment that it needs, and gets used to that and can really trust you. But yes, it is true that you will not be thinking about food 24/7 someday. So just stick it out, keep the process going, and you can find that peace. So another question about how I got my period back. So again, video linked below where I go more into depth on that. We'll be filming another one. And to touch on the second part of this question, which was, were you happy/nervous, etc.? When I got my period back, I cried a little bit because I was so happy, because I was in a place in my healing journey where that was my number one priority. Like, getting my period back was such a motivator for me at this point in my journey, because I just really got in touch with me at this point, and I really just had such a heart for like having kids one day, and I knew that this was gonna definitely impact that. So I was so excited, and it had been something that I've been working on for months, and so I was so excited. I cried a little bit. I still remember the day. And I still, every time that my period comes, like I've had my period back for almost 2 years now, and still every time that it comes, I get so excited and just overwhelmed with gratitude for a body that is working, and for my body, you know, just having trust with my body and the fact that my body feels safe. It just fills me with so much gratitude. So I was excited, but I want to touch on as well, if it had come back a year before that, 2 years before that, I would not have had the same mindset around it. It took me doing a lot of mental work beforehand to find excitement for it. So if you're not excited about it, just know that you can find that excitement. It just takes healing and time. But getting your period back is such a beautiful thing. It's a sign of health. It's our 5th vital sign. Like, it is such an important sign of health, and that your body trusts you. And it is such a beautiful thing to have a body that trusts you, and to be a woman and to have a body that could literally produce another human being. Like, how incredible is that? It could literally grow another human being. Like, that's just beautiful. Just so beautiful. So again, if you're struggling to find peace with getting your period back, or find that joyful place with getting your period back, I encourage you to just learn about the woman body and just everything that it goes through every month. And it's just so powerful. It's so beautiful. So I was excited, but it was because I had done a lot of mental healing to get to that place. So next question is, do you have a boyfriend? No, I don't. I am in this beautiful little season of singleness right now, which it has taken me time to find peace with this season of singleness, but my camera's about to die. No. You know, I haven't always viewed this season of singleness as a beautiful thing. In fact, like, the camera died, but we are back. So the past couple of years, I have really, it's just been on my heart, like, just this desire for marriage in that next season of my life. And I kind of let that consume me a little bit, and the fact that it took away from the season that I'm in now. And let me tell you, God has been doing a work in me this year, and I have just found so much peace and purpose in my single season. And I think it is such a beautiful, powerful thing to find peace and purpose in whatever season you are in right now, instead of rushing and wishing for the next season. I trust that that season is going to come into my life where I do find my person. All of these seasons that I'm really desiring, I trust that they're going to come into my life exactly when they're supposed to. So I'm going to focus on this season that I'm in right now, and finding a lot of purpose in this season that I'm in right now. And for anyone struggling with singleness, there's so much beauty to be found in it. You are no less than because you are single. This time can be used for so much good. It's just an undistracted time. You have so much time to focus on you, to focus on things that fill up your soul, to focus on healing. This is your time to just focus on you. If you're someone who is desiring, like, finding your person and person you're gonna marry, I love the saying that use your time of singleness to become the person who you're looking for is looking for. So whatever person you are desiring to marry or to be in a relationship, think about the person that they're looking for and just strive to become that person. I think that's just a fun little saying to kind of put into perspective this season of singleness, and how you can use it for good, and how you can take the focus off of finding your person and just finding that relationship and put it on becoming the person who you're looking for is looking for. So just focusing on yourself and just filling this time with purpose and passion, and chasing your passions and chasing your values. And when you're doing all of that, you're gonna find the person that you're meant to spend your life with. So that's just my little take on it. I've been in my little season of singleness, and although I cannot wait for the next seasons of my life where I'm, you know, dating, engaged, married, kids, whatever, I cannot wait for all of that. I'm very grateful for my season of singleness because God is just moving in it, and it's really beautiful. So I do not have a boyfriend. Someone asked, do you have a problem with your period? So ever since I got my period back almost 2 years ago now, it has not been regular. My body has been struggling, you know, after the years of chronic stress that I put it through. My body is still struggling to find peace and not be stressed out, which I think is a part of the process that people don't really talk about as much. You know, I kind of thought once I get my period back, My hormones are good, like everything's good. I got my period back, my hormones are good, but I have since then realized that is not the case. I still have a lot of healing to do with my hormones, and it doesn't come from restriction in this moment now. It comes from my past with chronic stress and, you know, all the chronic stress that I put my body and mind through for so many years, and even trauma in my childhood that kind of wired my brain to the way my body processes stress. Like it goes so much deeper than losing your period because of an eating disorder and getting it back. Like there's a lot more that can go into hormonal journeys. So my period has not been normal in the sense that my cycles have been very short. So when I first got my period back, for the first like probably year that I had it back, it was coming every 19 to 21 days, which is abnormally short. Like girl's period was just always here, which I loved it because I was just so grateful to have it. I honestly had no problem with that, and I didn't really see it as a problem, and I kind of just knew at the beginning like my body it would take time for my body to get back into balance. But then like I started, you know, getting the cystic acne and struggling with my acne journey. I just began to get so stressed out about everything, and I really stressed myself out even more when it came to healing, and that led to even more hormone struggles. And so my period was late sometimes, and it's been a journey for sure since getting my period back. So my period is not totally normal at the moment, but we are getting there, and I am in the process of healing. And you know, my acne has just come such a long way, which I just am so incredibly grateful for. Like, we're not perfect, but oh my gosh, the transformation that I have made is something I'm so grateful for. So things are moving in the right direction. It is a slower process than of course I would like, but things are moving in the right direction, and I'm grateful for that. So my period is not perfect, but we are healing and we are moving in the right direction. So I'm grateful. Next question is tips on being comfortable and enjoying socializing if you are very introverted. Ooh, boy, do I have some 2 cents on this. Oh gosh, I've struggled with social anxiety my entire life. Actually a couple questions just surrounding the topic of making friends and socializing and getting over social anxiety, being comfortable in social situations. So I'm gonna kind of combine all of those questions into this one answer. Gosh, I just want you guys to know that you are definitely not alone. And I also want you to know that your social anxiety or any of your social struggles do not have to hold you back from living a life that you want to live. Anyone that knew me in the past is probably very shocked to see what I'm doing right now and to see everything that I've done, because I was probably one of the most socially underdeveloped, awkward, anxious people out there. So let's go way back to preschool. My first year of preschool, I went an entire year without saying a single word to my teacher or anyone in the class. And then flash forward to when I went to middle school. I went to a school that none of my friends went to, and so I kind of like had to start fresh. And it was then that I began my journey of being known as the girl that didn't talk. Basically anyone that knew me in middle school knew that like that was just my identity. I was just the girl that didn't talk. I kind of took that with me into high school, and then my sophomore year of high school we moved, and I moved from a smaller school to a school with like 4,000 kids. It was huge, and talk about social anxiety. I struggled so much with anxiety that year, and I cannot believe I'm about to share this on the internet, but I am sharing this for anyone who feels alone, and especially in the high school, college age. Like, gosh, I just want you to know that you're not alone with whatever you're going through. And so I'm about to share something really personal and something that could have been embarrassing in the past, but now I just own it because it's a part of my story. And I actually was so socially anxious my sophomore year of high school, so my first year at a new school, that I was so socially anxious to ask anyone if I could sit at their table at lunch that I just went into the bathroom during lunch and just sat on my phone on the toilet literally every single day during lunch that whole entire school year. I'm outing myself a little bit here, but I say that to let you know that you know, that was my truth my sophomore year of high school, but I have come such a long way. I've navigated foreign countries on my own. I've lived in foreign countries on my own. I've been in the modeling industry. I've been in commercials. I've had to act. I have this platform. I've done speaking, like I've done public speaking events. So it's like, I say that to let you know that that was my truth then, and I have been able to overcome that. And it's not that I don't get socially anxious anymore. It's just because I put myself out there in these situations where I had to be social, and because I pushed myself out of my comfort zone a little bit, I have realized that, like, okay, yeah, that anxiety might be there, but it's not going to hurt me. I can still do these things and it's going to be just fine. All of that to say that social anxiety is a real thing, and I feel you, and I still get socially anxious. I still sweat a lot when I talk to people. My heart races. I get heart palpitations when I'm in social settings that make me anxious. Like, I still get those feelings, but they don't control me, and they don't have to control you either. I could not recommend enough therapy for anyone struggling with anxiety or just anything. Like, honestly, I recommend therapy to anyone, but it has been such an incredible help for me on my journey. It's given me tools and just a space where I can talk about these struggles and have someone validate these struggles. And so I highly recommend you finding a therapist if that's available to you. Honestly, so much of it is just getting life experience and growing up. You know, literally, if you had told my first grade self, or even my sophomore year self, or even my senior year self, that I would have done everything that I've done at this point, I would have been terrified, for one, and I just would have been so shocked, because there was this one part of me that just thought I didn't have what it took to be anybody and to do anything with my life. I was terrified that my anxiety was just gonna prevent me from living my life in the way that I wanted to live it. And so I just want you to know that it doesn't have to be that way, and there are ways around it. You know, there's medication out there if you need it. There are therapists. Like, there's just so many helpful tools out there, and I encourage you to seek out the support that you need, and also to find community and just people that let you know and remind you that you're not alone. And just overall, just want you to know that your anxiety doesn't have to control your life. It doesn't have to be something that holds you back in life. Like, you can still do these things that you're dreaming of. It might be scary and you might have to do them with fear, but you can still do them, and your anxiety doesn't have to hold you captive. So social anxiety is real, it's valid, and I feel it. I feel it every day almost still, but pushing myself out of my comfort zone and just getting that life experience and being gentle with myself, that is a game changer. Truly, you cannot hate yourself into healing. So do not take this out on yourself. It is not your fault for having anxiety. You're not weird for having anxiety. You're not different for having anxiety. You're not broken for having anxiety. You're not too much. You're not too little. You can still make something beautiful out of your life. And we're all so unique, and we're all so different, and people with social anxiety are so beautiful, and we have so many amazing qualities. So don't let your anxiety tell you otherwise. Don't let your anxiety make you doubt your potential, because you still have so much potential. I find grounding techniques to be super helpful. So if I'm in a social setting and I'm feeling really overwhelmed, I like to just look around the room and name objects and their colors. That can be really helpful. So just like, that's a green leaf, that's a brown chair, that's a white pillow, that's a green plant, that's a brown rock. Like, just naming objects and their colors, or naming 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can taste, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can hear, like that whole thing. I encourage you to like look up grounding techniques. Also, when I was in the depth of my anxiety and really struggling with debilitating anxiety in social settings, I felt like I needed to flee or I would have a panic attack. Going to the bathroom and just taking a little time to calm myself down was really helpful. So if you need to do that, that's totally fine. Just having these tools in your little toolbox to help you feel safe and comfortable, it's really gonna be helpful. Also, I wanted to share another little story. My sophomore year of high school, when I was really going through it with social anxiety and just anxiety in general, I got ISS because of my anxiety. I actually was having a really bad panic attack, and I was just going through this really tough season of having debilitating panic attacks. And so I went to the bathroom and I was like, I'm just gonna stay in this bathroom and not go to my next class. I needed that time to calm down because I was having a debilitating panic attack where I felt like I was having a heart attack, the room was spinning, and I just needed some time. So I literally stayed in the bathroom during the entire class and just went to my next class after I was calmed down. And the next day I got called into the vice principal's office, and they were like, we saw you were absent in one class but present for the rest of the classes, so we went and looked back on the cameras and we saw you go into the bathroom and not come out until the next class. We saw you skip class, so you have to get detention. I was like, I literally told him, I was like, I was having a panic attack, and he was like, okay, we'll take it from 3 days to 1 day. You can only have 1 day of ISS. I literally got punished for having anxiety, so love that for me. Just want you guys to know that, like, I get it. Your girl's been through it with anxiety. Literally, I've been through it with anxiety. I should film a video all about my anxiety journey because it started when I was really young in 2nd grade. That's when I started getting debilitating anxiety. So I want you to know, anyone out there who's struggling with anxiety, social anxiety, girl, your girl feels you. I understand, but I also want you to know that it does not have to hold you back. It does not have to rule your life. There is freedom from it. There are tools, there is help, there are people that can help you through, and life experience. You can find freedom from this, and it does not have to control your life. It doesn't have to be debilitating. You can find freedom from that, and you can find peace. I just get so overwhelmed with gratitude when I think about how far I've come in terms of my anxiety. And you know, it's still there, but it doesn't control me. It doesn't interfere with my life anymore, and you can find that too. So just be gentle with yourself. I think that's a really important thing. Remove the judgment from yourself and just be really gentle. Treat yourself like you would treat a friend, and just know that you can find peace from this. That's gonna look different for everyone, but you can find peace. So this video, I don't want it to be an hour long, so I think I'm gonna do what I did with my check-in and split this into 2 videos because I'm just so passionate about so many of these topics. I don't want to water down my answers for the sake of fitting everything into one video, so I'm going to do a 2-part video to this, so stay tuned for the second part. I'm going to answer one more question, and this is another one that I am so passionate about. We're going out with a bang. This last question is, are you a virgin? I'm 25 and never been in a relationship. So we're about to spill some personal tea. First, I want you to know that because you are 25 and never been in a relationship, there's nothing wrong with you. You are no less than anyone who has been in a relationship or who is married right now or whatever. Like, you are no less than anyone else because of your singleness. So I want you to know that, and anyone who is single, I want you to know that you are no less than because you are single. Singleness can be viewed as such a beautiful gift, and there's so much purpose in it. So first off, I want you to know that. Second off, to answer your question, yes, I'm a virgin, and I love it. I love it. I'm at peace with it because I have always had just a heart for saving that for marriage. Also, I'm 24, by the way, for anyone who didn't know. 24. I've been in one relationship, but it lasted about 3 months, and it wasn't until I was 20. I had my first kiss at 20. It was definitely a learning experience relationship. Let me just leave it at that. I've just always had a heart for saving that for marriage. I've never really questioned it. And yes, it does have part to do with my faith, but here's what I want to put out there. I want to put out this big disclaimer for anyone. I feel like this is just so misunderstood in our world today and in our society. Just this view of sex as a Christian, and that can be, you know, the view as a Christian or someone on the outside. I feel like there's this idea that waiting until marriage is just this rule that, like, it's just preventing us from enjoying life, and it's sad, it's whatever, it's lame, like, you know. I feel like there's just such a negative connotation around it, and people think it's a burden to have to wait until marriage and whatever. But I want to share the true perspective on this, and that is that God knows how powerful sex is. God knows how good sex is. And that is why he created it in the context of marriage. He knows how powerful the bond is that is created within sex. And the guidance that he gives us to wait to save that for marriage is literally protection. It is protection for your heart. Your brain literally creates the same chemicals that bonds a mother with her child when you have sex with someone. That is a powerful thing. And that is not something that I desire to create with someone who can just leave whenever they want. I don't want to create that bond with someone unless I know for sure and there's protection over the fact that we are going to spend the rest of our lives together. And that's what the view is in Christianity. It's not this idea that sex is bad, sex before marriage is bad, you're going to hell if you have sex before marriage. I don't believe that. I'm not going to judge you if you do. Like, you do you. I want you to do what best aligns with you, but I just love sharing this side of it. At one, sex is not bad. It's nothing to like be like such a taboo topic, like we can't talk about it. And two, like this idea that you should save sex for marriage isn't a bad thing either. It's not this sad life. It is literally protection for your heart. If someone was in a relationship where they were sexually active and then they broke up, there is a different kind of heartbreak that comes from that, because you created a bond that is powerful and you created soul ties that were powerful, and that is going to be so much harder to recover from than you breaking up from a relationship that didn't cross that physical boundary and where you didn't have sex. Like, there is just a power behind sex, and God knows that. That's why he created it. But he created it for the context of marriage to protect you. Anyway, that was not even your question, but I just wanted to share my view on sex because I think it's something, one, that people don't talk enough about, and two, that our society has really gotten twisted. And again, I have absolutely no judgment for anyone that chooses to have sex before marriage. Like, I want you to live a life that feels most aligned to you, but I'm just sharing like my truth. This is what I believe, and also that just sharing something like to protect your heart, it's something to think about, you know? Like, do you want to create that bond with someone who can just leave you tomorrow? Also, I want you to know that there's no judgment, there's no shame if you have had sex before marriage. Like, none of that. That has no place here. Shame and judgment have absolutely no place here. So do not even think that that's where I'm going. Like, I just think it's twisted. The perception that people have on Christians and sex, and the perception that Christians have on sex, like, it's just very twisted. And it's literally just protection. It's just protection for your heart, because God cares about you and he loves you and he doesn't want to see you heartbroken. God does not want to see you heartbroken. All of that to say, you're 25 and you have not been in a relationship. You are no less than someone who has been in a relationship, and I think it's a beautiful thing to be single for this long, because you really get to focus on you and grow up and mature and become the truest version of you, so you can attract the absolute perfect person for you. Like, I think about people that get married when they're 19 or 20 or get in very serious relationships at that age, or even in high school. Like, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's just, you have to give up a lot of time where you could be learning about yourself to care for another person. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. And some people have beautiful relationships that come from that. But what I'm saying is that it can also be true that being single through your 20s can be a beautiful, powerful thing, because you are becoming the truest version of yourself without any distractions. And if you are running towards your passions and living a life that aligns with your values, the right person is going to come into your life at the right time. Any of my single 20-something friends out there, your person is going to come, and the best thing you can do is find purpose in this season. Do not let your desire for a relationship take away the beauty that you find in the season of singleness, because there is a lot of beauty to be found in it. So I think that's all I have to share for this video. I will 100% be doing a part 2, because there are so many other beautiful questions that I am so passionate about sharing my answers to. I don't know what has happened, but a fire has been lit in me, and I have just gotten such a heart for this YouTube community, and I'm just overflowing with video ideas, and I'm just so excited to bring them to you guys and to just grow this community. I have such a heart for you guys and such passion and purpose behind this YouTube channel now. Stay tuned for lots of more videos. Stay tuned for a part 2 to this girl talk video. I love you guys, and my purpose behind this channel is to be the person that I needed when I was struggling, and so I am doing my best every day to show up for you guys in that way. If you're not already, go follow me on Instagram. I show up there more often than I show up here. So I hope this video brought you some peace, some entertainment, some value, and just let you know that you're not alone. I hope you guys are having a beautiful day, and I will see you very soon for my next video.